Hello, Mr. Haber.
Hello, Mr. Lempert.
So today we're going to talk about the Golden Ring program. So, in your own words, how would you define the program, and do you believe it has any kind of value?
I mean, it's really difficult to define the Golden Ring program, but if you think about it in its essence, it's just a student doing his work because he knows it benefits him. It's not about doing work because of getting checked. If my homework wasn't getting checked and I wasn't part of the program, I wouldn't do it. But because I am part of the program, I do my homework every night, whether it gets checked or not. And that's really what it all comes down to. Do you do your work because it's there for you and it helps you, or do you do your work because it's getting checked? And what it really comes down to is I think the program has extreme value because it is able to separate those who care about their future and those who get work done just because it's getting checked. And you're going to be able to tell who's going to succeed and who's going to fail. And I think the program has huge value in our school. What do you think, Mr. Lempert?
Well, I'd start off with my definition. My definition is it's really just it's a student's moral compass. The student believes that everything's for the grade. Everything, oh, you get a good grade, you have to do that. You get a good grade, you have to study good. Then it's the person he's just a good student. He's a good student. But if a person is part of the Golden Ring program, he does his work regardless of anything, and that's where I agree with you, Mr. Haber. I believe that where the student does the work just to help him, just for his own knowledge, not for any grade, not for any assignment, not for nothing. Just you do it because you need, because you want to, because you need to, because you want to learn. And I think this program has enormous value. I think that this program should be implemented in schools across the country in every single class because let's be honest, people are cheating now. People are using their cell phones with these new devices, and now schools are seeing that. And instead of trying to find a new way for people to look at education, they're trying to suppress the cheating by taking away people's phones, putting up cheating barriers, separating the students in classes. And see, yeah, this can all stop, this kind of, temporary cheating. But what about the cheating that happens at home? What about the people who get tests? What about the people who get, people who just get the assignments? Well, that doesn't help the cheating there. But the Golden Rule program shows people who get the work and they do it for themselves, not for any grade. So, do you think you change your behavior even just once because of this program? And maybe, do you have a specific moment where this program impacted your life in any kind of way?
I actually have a moment, and it happened today, March 29th to be exact, and I believe you were there, Mr. Lempert.
I was there indeed.
So in math class today, no, but in all seriousness, in math class today, my teacher, Mr. Lee, asked if anyone had the homework done, and I don't know why, but maybe I forgot, but for some reason I hadn't done the homework. So he said, if you didn't do the homework, stand up. And at first, I was the only one who stood up, and I stood up because I was part of the Golden Ring. And as others saw that I was standing up, they realized that the right thing to do was admit that they hadn't done it. They shouldn't lie to their teacher. They're breaking their teacher's trust. The student and the teacher have a very special and unique trust relationship. And once you break that, it's gone. So they realized they should stand up. And ironically, 20 out of 24 students in my class, that's 83% of the students stood up. And I was just amazed that all these students had the integrity and honesty to stand up and show that, listen, I didn't do the homework, but I'm not going to lie to you. I'm going to admit it. And I believe you, in fact, were one of those other people, Lempert. And that's what I respect about you.
Well, you know what? I have to agree with you. I'm going to piggyback on your example because, when you stood up, you were the only one at first, and then people thought, okay, nobody's going to stand up because, Mr. Lee is very lenient on his homework and he usually doesn't check it. But when you stood up, it showed people, okay, you know what, let's admit it for us. And that showed that you were in the Golden Ring program. And then I stood up, and then a lot of people stood up, and it showed that everybody who stood up, because I think some people who still sat down, they didn't do it either, but I'm not sure. So I think the people who actually stood up, they're all part of the Golden Ring program. They did it because they were honest. They showed that their word means more than the actual grade, and that's what the Golden Ring program is about. And honestly, this program really impacted me most last week in your class, Mr. Kaplan, when you said that you were going to start, going forward with a plan to make this an actual program. When you said that we should be able to grade our fourth quarter averages, we should grade it ourselves because this really shows this example really shows who is who's going to be part of this program, who's going to follow their moral code, and look other students in the eye and tell them they deserve that grade, they got that grade, and they deserve it. Why? The cheater's gonna they're gonna give us the grade, but everybody's gonna know that they're cheating because they just who they are. But the people who actually deserve, who worked hard and did it for them, not did it for their own education, not just for the grade, because that's the whole point of the program, not for the grade. It's for their own education. So I think that was the biggest moment where it impacted me, when you believed and when you said you were going to try to implement it, grading our own fourth quarter averages.
That was a very crucial moment to me too, Mr. Lempert.
So, Mr. Haber, how can the program be improved?
A while back we started something where you get to pick your own grade for the quarter, but that eventually got shot down because other teachers and students weren't okay with it. They were like, "This isn't fair. Why do they get to pick their grade and I don't?" But instead of shunning it, I don't understand it. They shouldn't shun it. They should be all for it. Because if you go to a school where every student is honest and every student can openly do what they want, and a school where teachers don't have to take phones and iPads away because they trust that the student won't cheat during a test. If you go to a school like that, a student should be able to pick their grade for the quarter because they would be able to honestly tell you what they deserved, and that's what being a Golden Ring member is all about. So if we could achieve that by encouraging the other students and teachers to live in a society like that, that's the only way we could improve the Golden Ring program. What are your thoughts, Mr. Lempert?
Well, I have to agree with you 100% on that. I believe that your idea for us to grade our own fourth quarter, that was brilliant. I think that was exactly what the Golden Ring program need, and it's sad that some other teachers and students didn't approve of this. They said it takes away the educational value, but I think it's the opposite. I think it gives us more educational value. It gives us something that something that's for learn, not for a grade, not for anything, but something for us to learn. And the only other, and that would make it an ideal program. But something else. The only other thing I have to say would be is that if we were to we'd have to inaugurate the people who are in it, because I think that saying that anybody can be in the Golden Ring program is a false fact, because there are people who cheat, and there are people who steal, and there are people who lie, and those people, they'll say they're in the Golden Ring program, but they're really not, and it's really hard to. I know people know in their hearts what they're in, but I think it should be more an official thing, a more official program. Like anybody could say they're president of the United States, but there's only one person that actually is. So I believe we should be able to grade ourselves, and there should be a more inauguration and more of a openness about who's in the program and who's not, and then we will have an ideal program. So
couldn't agree with you more.
So the Golden Ring program is a great thing, and I'm glad we discussed this out.
I'm glad we discussed this too, Mr. Lempert, and we actually have golden rings.
So
Golden rings
unite.
Yeah. Got him.